Stones Radio Networks presents Pottercast, the best podcast for the best summer collegiate baseball team around, your Lincoln Potters. Hosted by the one and only Mark Phantom Lowe and his sidekick. That's me, Stones McCoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. It's time for the Pottercast.
Yes, welcome into the Pottercast, a show I'm actually looking forward to, although Stones McCoy, who's in the middle of your screen, by the way, Stones McCoy, I realized that the tweet I put out promoting the show, perhaps a bit underwhelming.
Completely underwhelming.
Did you see the tweet?
Yeah.
Maybe I
didn't even want to retweet it. That's how underwhelming
maybe
it
I
was.
downplayed our guest a little bit.
You totally downplayed him. Come on, man. Crack it.
It's the only.
Let this guy on.
It's the only podcast devoted solely to your summer collegiate woodbat baseball team, the Lincoln Potters.
You're getting so much better at that, by the way.
I know, but I put it in a different order every time.
Every time. It's okay, but it's getting better.
Pretty
cleaner.
soon it's going to be a college bat team. I don't know. And we have a lot to talk about, even though there's only 4 games since we met last time because we did a Tuesday, but 4 very eventful games. So I thought, how could we take a week that the Potters went 4-0 and make it kind of a bummer and not make people excited about it?
That's so mean.
And then I thought, a guy.
So mean.
Now you look on your screen, you see me, of course, looking pretty good, for 103. In the middle of your screen is Stones McCoy, who's up there on his high chair.
High
our
horse.
guest to my left,
Yes.
you may know him as Gregorius Jorgensen,
Gregorius
Robinson, and the great Gregorian.
Yes.
His name, I think, is Jordan Gregerson. He's an intern, and he's our guest. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. I don't know if it was the constant blackmail or the anthrax letters I was sending you, but I'm glad you guys finally caved in and let me on the show.
Yeah, the
you're
anthrax
welcome,
worked well.
buddy.
I just give those to the wife. So
Hey,
that was fine. Let her
hey,
open those.
Jordan, first thing, I'm just going to have you grab your mic right up here and tilt it toward your face. There you go.
Right
there. You
See,
go.
again,
Get in that sweet zone.
He's not worthy. I don't know why he's even here.
He's learning, man.
All right,
Doing
Jordan.
this on the fly.
I mean,
You
I'm
are-
just an intern.
Yes, but that was my first question. How many interns do the Potters have each summer?
I believe it's between 6 and 8. That's what Matt had told me when I was hired.
Okay.
I think this summer we have 6 or 7.
That would be between
varying.
6 and 8.
Yeah, so that falls under that number range.
Yeah.
So I checked out your Twitter bio
Good
because
math.
I didn't exactly know what your name was. And it seems like that you kind of like do stuff with a lot of different sports, and you're pretty active, and you're writing, and you're doing stuff. So how did you come to the Potters?
I really just sent out an email. So it kind of goes back to when I was at Sierra. I was a journalism major, and I started out getting into the world, and I started getting press passes to big events like Sac Republic, Sacramento Kings
Nice.
gave me something, and then COVID hit and shut everything down. And then I started reaching out to these teams again, and all of them were basically like, kick rocks. We don't remember you.
So COVID was inconvenient for you then?
it was very
Isn't that too bad,
inconvenient.
Stones?
COVID
Yeah.
caused a lot of memory loss in a lot of different areas, and it may have happened to Jordan here.
I think it was
Yeah.
really inconvenient for him, and that's why I hate COVID.
And-
But go on, sir.
And I just reached out to the Potters and I said, hey, I'm a journalism major. I was at William Jessup now. I am looking to go into sports
Sure.
journalism, trying to get in. And Matt sent me the application. I had an interview with him, and he
Nice.
hired me. And then here I am.
And
Very
you
nice.
and you do stat. What do you do?
I do stats. I do social media during the games. I am the scorekeeper. On
Scoreboard
our
operator.
scoreboard, our very broken scoreboard that works a third of the time.
Don't blame the tools, my friend.
Technology is only as smart as
Yeah,
the user.
yeah.
I never claimed to be smart. And I also am a writer with the Potters, and I just recently have been.
You're
we're
getting
not
ahead of
getting-
yourself
okay.
again. Come
Okay.
on, you got to learn how
I
to be
just said
interviewed,
I just
man.
recently posted a story. You can't cut me off, fan.
That's
I'm-
right.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You're right.
Ooh,
And
wow.
you're the guy who
First
writes the
and last
recaps.
interview.
You're the guy who writes the recaps when people check out the LincolnPotters.com and they see previous games and they click on them. Then you're the guy who puts that together.
Yes, I am.
And except for not putting the score in early enough, I think you do a great job.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Can I
we
say that?
can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree. Okay, so you
I
did
say you
that.
bury those nuggets, dude, so they have to
Yeah.
read down.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just
you're
just going to
taking
start
his
putting the score
advice.
later and later in it.
You're taking put it in the next story. You're taking his advice on how to get ahead in the world, which I think probably is not a bad idea. So
Come on now.
how has the experience been this summer compared to what you thought it might be?
The first thing I noticed is it is a lot more work. I used to joke going into the summer
Yep.
that I'm getting paid to watch baseball all summer. That can't be that bad.
Yep.
And then I worked the first game, and I was like, this is so much more work than I anticipated.
Only
but
6 or 7 interns, but they do a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, but I love it. I mean, this has been the greatest job I've ever had, by far the coolest. I love everything about it. It's making me just really be like, I really made a good choice in my career path. And, yeah, just the people I've met here, getting to watch great baseball every
it's
night.
been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been more than I could have ever asked
Well,
for.
Phantom, you know that these interns, they get here at 2:30 on a game day every day, and I know Jordan's here till midnight some nights.
Well, he doesn't have to be. He just hangs out at
Well,
the
he
park.
hangs out a
Yeah,
little bit.
well,
but he,
the homeless
he
people
does,
come in.
No,
they're my
that's a good
friends,
point
and-
because interns put in long
These
hours.
are
That's
long
part of
hours
what
that
an
they're
intern
doing.
does.
Yeah.
But if it's not for interns, especially the Potters can't really operate the way they
Absolutely.
do. So I don't want to, affect your chances for another job. But let me ask you a trivia question: what's the earliest in the game you've ever got a beer?
yeah. That's a good question.
I think excellent
I'm
question.
working so hard. I can't remember often.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
So,
I'd
but
say
I do
pregame.
think it is
I'd say
pregame.
pregame.
I mean, that may or may not be the answer, but it could also be considered a federal crime to not drink a beer while you're watching a baseball
That
game.
is
So
true.
I'm just a law-abiding citizen.
It is.
There he
It
is.
is when you walk into a bowling alley. If you walk into a bowling alley and you don't
have to
immediately
have
go
a
get a
beer.
beer, then you're taken out in handcuffs, which you'd probably enjoy. But I think that if Ryan Stevens comes up for his pregame interview and you already have a beer, I think that's a day well done right there.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's 5 o'clock at that point.
So
Here.
obviously, you're doing a pretty good job because you have branched out now. You're going to actually be a real boy, so to speak. Tell us about the opportunity, which may not have sprung out of this, but obviously this helped prepare you for this opportunity.
Well, as my girlfriend's dad likes to call it, I got a real job. There was a opening at Gold Country Media for a sports reporter,
very
and
cool.
I've deceived them enough to allow them to
Excellent.
hire me. So I will be covering.
This is live and on
sports.
tape, just so you know.
Oh, I'm sure they're
This
listening.
goes out to your girlfriend's dad. Don't worry about it.
And I will be working with the Auburn Journal mostly, covering all sports
Tremendous
for them.
paper,
Sweet.
yeah.
Mostly it's going to be prep sports with a little bit of college in there. I do write for the Lincoln Potters for Gold Country Media
Okay.
as well, so that's going
Very
in the
cool.
Lincoln
Now, is
News
that in the
Messenger.
Lincoln Messenger then?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. So, but yeah, I'll be covering all sports, which is great because I love baseball, but I want to be a sports reporter, and I love that I can kind of branch out and really see which sport I like working with the best.
Well, here's my idea, and of course, I'll wait to see when the first article about Stones Radio Networks comes out because
Already
obviously that
mentioned
story.
it twice to
you
him.
need to do a behind the scenes, a day in the life of the Potters,
Yeah.
and start off in the morning when you start working, bring it in, and talk about behind the scenes what goes on in here because it's kind of crazy.
I think it's pretty fascinating.
We could all be canceled if
We
it ever
could be.
comes out, but I think it's a pretty good idea for us. I want you to pitch that to your editor.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to do a story like that because, like I said, I never realized how much work goes into a
Yeah.
sporting event, and especially the behind-the-scenes production.
It's
there
a lot,
are days.
man. It's a lot.
Yeah, first pitch is at 6 o'clock. I mean, I'm usually getting to the office between 1:30 and 2. There's days I've gotten there as early as 12:30 or 1.
Wow.
6 hours before the first pitch because I've got stuff I've got to do.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Well, there's a
it's-
lot to this game, and something that we had talked about off camera before, but I want you to mention it. You really enjoy covering a lot of sports, and you actually have one that you really enjoyed more than others. Do you recall what that was?
Was it the stunt
Yes,
game?
yes.
So I also work with William Jessup, and
Okay.
I work for the athletics department, and they added a stunt team this year, which is basically competitive cheerleading.
Okay.
And I got to work their first ever stunt event. And that might be one of my favorite sports I've ever watched. I knew nothing about it going in. I was a little nervous and kind of frustrated that I got scheduled for it because I was like, I know nothing about this sport.
Yeah.
You're
right?
the new guy on the
And-
block, man. You got to take those gigs.
And they were going up against like the number one team in the nation at the time. So I'm like, okay, I've got to be good as well because I want to.
All
But
the
it
pressure
really
was
turned out to
really
be
on
something, huh?
All
Yeah.
that was on you. Yeah, the pressure was on you.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's one of my favorite sports to watch. It's so interesting. I do not envy the referee of that because
Yeah, or
He's-
is there judges and stuff?
yeah, the referee's basically the judge. There are 3 judges up there. I'm still not quite sure what they do because it's the
Respect.
referee's
It's okay.
choice.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's the referee's decision. But I mean, they'll throw a girl 20 feet in the air and catch her while standing on one leg and like spinning.
That's a 10.
And the referee is like, "Oh, this team did it better." I'm like, "Yeah, because you can do any of that." Like,
well, referees aren't people that go out and do it. I
Objective.
think you're taking the wrong idea. But I'm
I
glad
just
we
couldn't
found.
judge it.
I'm glad
I
we
just
found
thought that was interesting.
We found his lane. He's a stunt guy.
I thought
Yeah,
that was
I think
very
that's great.
interesting.
Well, Jordan, thanks for joining us. It sounds like you've paid your dues as an intern, which is what you're supposed to do, but it also sounds like you're using it to move forward, so that's fantastic. And if you will stay around and join us on the roundtable, we've got a pretty exciting week for the Potters to talk about, starting on last Thursday when they took on Walnut Creek and sent – I think that was that Shane Gustafson went to the mound on Thursday.
The Guff.
Yes, I believe it was Gustafson on the mound Thursday.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, that was a 9-1 victory.
9-3. 9-3. Remember,
you're
Gustafson gave up a run early, and then we came back and scored 2. Put a couple on after that, and then Trey Furry took over. We pushed the lead out, and then I think we ended. I think we closed that day with Ryan Bruno, which is almost not fair.
That's really not fair to most teams.
Yeah, it's almost not fair.
I don't care. Not to that team.
So we got the win against Walnut Creek, and again, we're still building momentum off. Very slow start in league, 2-8 at one point.
Oh yeah,
11-14 overall, and we're kind of building that back up. Grabbed that win, and then the Mudcats come to town for 2. And grab a couple of wins against them as well. Again, Trey Furry was big. I think Owen Cuff started the first night. Logan Bell came in and shut him down. Again, our pitching has been, it's been wonderful.
You can't
so far.
not talk about it. You absolutely have to talk about the pitching. The pitching has kept them in games in which they give up an early lead or something.
Exactly.
You have to talk about the pitching on this squad.
The way the pitching has been, even Cuff, he had a rough first inning, but he bounced back so well. And I believe he had 5 or 6 full counts in the game.
Yeah.
And he only gave up 1 walk while striking out 8. And the Potters hit a streak during this streak of 18 to the last 20 where I believe they had 1 run given up in like 35 innings pitched by their bullpen, which you were going to win a lot of games if you do that.
Well, I think I don't know what you guys think, but to me, I'm watching we watch 4 summers now. If you can keep a team in summer baseball under 5 runs, I think you got about a 3/4 chance to win that game.
I like those numbers,
And we seem to be doing that almost every day. We had a Carter Delaney on a game we'll get to on Saturday. Had a tough second inning, gave up 6 runs. The rest of the game, to your point, 1 run, on just a couple of hits. And other than that, we're holding teams to 5 or less almost every night.
Yeah.
And honestly, statistically, that 1 run they gave up on Saturday goes down as an earned run. But given the collision in the outfield that had happened, you almost wish that's not an earned run because the team just was a little shaken up that inning. They got out of it, minimal damage, and they cruised the rest of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll give a little nod to Jack Horn, who was the guy pitching. He went 4 innings, gave up the 1 run, and that was it. And coming in relief of Carter Delaney after the Potters scored their 10, whether Carter was coming back or not, he wasn't after sitting for about a half an hour. Jack Horn came out, and again, the bullpen. 4 innings, just 1 run, and just kind of shut him down. Potters piled a lot.
Jack Horn looked really impressive, too.
And he's only pitched, 3 times this summer.
It hasn't been much. I don't even think it's been a handful, but he came out in a situation in which, the team is kind of on edge right now. You got a little emotion going.
That's a really good point.
Had some issues in the outfield, so you have that on top of all that, and he just laser focused, got in the zone, and 4 quality innings. I don't know how you ask for anything more from a bullpenner.
No, that's exactly what he needed to do. Come on, he got the win, and the Potters won that one 16-7. So they win the 3 games at home, and at this point in the league season, you're thinking, well, we got to win all our home games.
Yeah.
Because we fell behind early. Of course, we played Healdsburg a lot and couldn't get off the snide against them. So we come back, we win these 3 games, and then it's on the road to Healdsburg. And as you both have mentioned, we had a collision in the outfield. Jeffrey